Hello and welcome to Huddersfield Town Extra Time here at Oakwell. I am pleased to be joined by Dave Hartrick and Andy Lawson. We've just drawn 1-1 after an entertaining end-to-end game, I think. Dave, you're here with me, as people can see. How would you sum that one up?
I think it's a bit disappointing. I think Barnsley didn't have loads of quality. They were there for the taking. Town have let another lead slip, which is disappointing. There's a couple of bright things to talk about, Lewis O'Brien in particular. But yeah, it's a draw that this feels a bit flat. It's a draw that feels like a defeat to me.
Okay. What about yourself, Andy?
I agree with Dave in that I came into today hoping to get, I suppose, more than we have done from this. I'm delighted with the way that we scored. I thought in attacking phases, we did seem like we were the higher caliber team, higher quality team, if you like. But then, of course, as Dave says, we go ahead and then immediately we give Barnsley a chance that Tom Lees kind of saves us from and things. So, yeah, I came into today hoping for more than a point, and I come out of it same, really.
Yeah, it was disappointing in the manner we conceded. I think had we gone into half time ahead, I think we would have probably pushed on, because as Dave says, the quality was coming from Huddersfield, and I think that the timing of that goal just seemed to give Barnsley a shot in the arm that they probably could have done without. Is that a fair thing to say, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think the first half, every time Town broke, they looked really dangerous. And there was a huge gap up to Fraser Campbell that they were trying, every time they managed to get a player into that gap, Barnsley couldn't cope. They were just trying to hack it clear. They were really struggling. And I think if Town get into the dressing room at half-time at 1-0, like you say, I think they probably win this game 2-0. And it's a fairly comfortable second half. It was just a proper sucker punch. That's the reality. It was just a proper sucker punch. And it's a shame. It's a shame because, you know, away wins are few and far between in this division. And this one was there. But you just have to look at some of the positives from it today. And I think it's worth us all talking about Lewis O'Brien, really.
Okay, Andy, if you want to start us off, I think, you know, one of the huge positives to me was the, you know, almost 4,000 Town fans here with us. They were in great voice all afternoon, and you know, that's always great to see, especially in a local derby like this one. But you know, in this sort of atmosphere, it is a player like Lewis O'Brien who usually steps up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who doesn't love Derby Day atmosphere? I thought the Town fans were really brilliant today, as was Lewis O'Brien. I mean, that for me is the man of the match performance, because you look at the way that he took on the job. He was doing almost a hog roll he was really breaking up things for Barnsley. I actually feel like he and Scott High between them actually were a really good little duo in the middle. Scott High put some really quality passes in. He was able to just find players without really much of a glance. He knew where they were, the passes, not always 100% on point, but largely there. With Lewis O'Brien, real engine next to him, the goal as well. For me, yeah, definitely, as Dave says, Lewis O'Brien needs to take all the plaudits and should do, rightly for me, my man of the match, but also Scotty Hyde. Between the two of them, brilliant combo today. Yeah,
Dave, another player I wanted to touch on is Josh Koroma, because I kind of feel like he's in a sort of space that Danel Sanani was a few weeks ago. Danel obviously missed out today and feeling a bit unwell, but it almost felt as if one of them chances, had they gone in for him, then he would have been the Josh Koroma last season and had that extra bit of spark about him. He just, you know, clattered the post again, had a few that, you know, bobbled in and around and got blocked and things. He just seems to be, you know, just short of that little bit of confidence or belief that would have him be the player he was last season for us.
Yeah, he got the assist, and I think if he takes anything from today, it needs to be the fact that he got the assist again. And it was good. It was a good layoff, and he kept getting himself in good positions. But second half, you could see his confidence went a bit, and he just, it's a cliche, but he sort of just needs a goal to go in, however, needs a goal to go in off his backside. And I think as soon as that happens, you're going to see the Josh Koroma of old again, because I thought what was good today was that he got back into Josh Koroma positions.
Yeah.
He's been the last few times he's played, he's been struggling to get into those spaces that he likes to work from. And today, first and second half, he was playing where he liked. I think the 4-3-3 first half helps him as well. And I think it helped Toffolo as well. That left-hand side looked back to being a real danger point for Town.
Yeah. Do you think that 4-3-3, Andy, was obviously a tactical decision made by Carlos. Do you think that worked well in the first half of Town? Was that something you were pleased to see, moving away from that sort of 5 and 3 that we've played for the majority of the season so far?
I feel, as a general football thing, I feel some tactical flexibility is always useful. I do agree with club identities and things, but I think an ability when needs must to do that. I agree as well. I feel that with Lewis in that side of the midfield too, they felt like the 3 of last season. That side felt really complete last season. They knew where they were going to be. So for me, yeah, that was delightful to see. I like that we can be tactically adept and move around as we need to. I feel on the other side as well, Sorba did reasonably well today. I think he just need maybe a rest or so for a while. But Rolando Aarons, he came on and almost immediately you could see a quality of ball from him. That final product that he was producing, there was a cross almost immediately left-footed toward Danny Ward, which Danny Ward must have been inches away from. And so again, I feel on both sides there was real positives today, Raj.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think there's a few players today that have, got minutes under their belt that haven't done previously and taken a chance that wasn't available with a settled side, and a few players missing out for various reasons. Dave, one thing that I wanted to sort of pick up on was we're talking about the tactical flexibility and everything, and one player that's at the heart of that is Levi Colwill, and he's a child still essentially, but he's so flexible and mature for his age, and that he's in a 3, he's in a 2, and he doesn't look at all panicked. He's unflappable. He's brilliant again today for me. Brilliant outlet pass, always turning into space and finding his man. It was sort of with him and Tom Lees between the two of them, even though there's probably 20 years between the two, or best part of it. And a wealth of football experience between the two difference. You couldn't really tell it if you're watching them play side by side.
Yeah, I thought he was good today. I think playing in a 4 what's noticeable is he doesn't step out with the ball as much, so it's like a sort of pure defensive shift. And I think the Peterborough game where that late goal came and he found himself in no man's land and got slightly bullied for the goal. I was slightly worried, are we going to see something similar today? And I thought he was fairly faultless on the back foot today. I thought he was really, really good. And I think you run out of ways to say Levi Colwill is good at football, but Levi Colwill is good at football. And, it's clear that this is a young man that after this season, who knows where he goes, to be honest with you. It's sort of the ceiling really is down to him.
Yeah, we've seen players that have, in very recent history come to Huddersfield from Premier League clubs, top end Premier League clubs, Emile Smith Rowe and Trevor Chalobah, and they've gone on to be, staples of the first 11s at those teams, and that's not an easy thing to do. So you wouldn't, put your money against Levi doing something similar at this stage, because he's absolutely brilliant. He was captain in the England under-18s as well. And there's a feeling here now that Town need to just do something to get over the line. What do you think needs to change with a week to prepare for that Coventry City game at home? It's beyond telly, an early kick-off. They're always slightly odd, given that it changes your routine a little bit and things like that. What the Town really have to concentrate on and look at to make sure that performance and that result goes their way, because it was a disappointing result last time at home. It's a disappointing result here at Oakwell. It's time really perhaps to change that narrative a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Raj. Just very quickly before I get onto that, I think for me, the club and the club shop, please print a T-shirt. Levi Colwill is good at football. I think that would be absolutely genius. I do see what you mean about Town. I feel like, yeah, we've hit a point where we need a couple of positive results. I feel like, again, another week to go before we get that game. I feel like, yeah, the Christmas period is going to be a real kind of busy period for the players. So I feel almost like this week, a bit of downtime might help a little bit, as well as looking then at the tactical stuff. I think we've learnt with what we've seen today, for example, that Danny Ward is an absolute beast when he's up front. Maybe when he's brought back, sometimes the work that he does is not quite as obvious. So for me, maybe working a tactic around him, maybe being up front, back where he's really strong. I look at so many things from today, Raj, and I see there's so many opportunities for us to to be in a better position than we are, we just need a couple of shots here and there to become goals. I'm not going down the pure route of it's nothing but luck that needs to change, but I do feel like we're still there pretty much. You know what I mean? We've not dropped back too much, so I feel it's there. A week, hopefully, prep will help Town as we go into that game next week.
Yeah, they feel, Dave, with a bit of perspective, compared to the conversations we might have been having last season, like first world problems. We're talking about points that we should have gained rather than, disappointing losses. We're talking about looking upwards at the table where we could be rather than looking down at where we might be, and those sorts of things. So that should be an overall positive. And I don't want us to ever, without sort of looking for excuses, I don't want us to lose sight of the progress we made this season, because that's evident and important as well. But overall, how do you think the season at present feels for Town? Does it look positive for you, or is it something that could be a touch better?
I think it's still a net positive. I think you have to say that. You have to look at the league and you have to say that. I think the problem is the frustrations are like it's fine tuning. They've got a much better squad. They've got a couple of shapes that work. They've got a couple of ways to hurt teams, but they just need a little bit more of everything. And like last season, it was getting really hard to write and talk about Town because there's only, a bit like Levi or Colwill being good at football, there was only so many ways to say that Town was struggling to do the same things week after week. Yeah. And I think they've still got a couple of fundamental problems creativity-wise they need to sort, but it's just the fine-tuning. You saw today, they scored a goal that they rarely score this season, which is a break and a move down the middle. And that is what they need to do more of. That's what me and Steve have been crying out for. And that is the big goal for the second half of the season, is just to be more proactive. And I hate to use the word direct because it has all sorts of connotations in football, and it's not what I mean, but just being more direct through the middle, just tie a defender up, give them problems, and that will help, the players of likes of Josh Koroma with the space that it creates. So I still think it's a net positive overall. I still think they're doing okay. It's just they've got to be careful because we're at the point where I think we can all say they need a win now. They need a win again because they've not bounced in the fashion that they have at the first half of the season. So it's time to put that right now.
Yeah, there's a few things that should hopefully help. There's players obviously coming back. There's players who've missed out for non-footballing reasons, good non-footballing reasons, illnesses and things like that, which isn't a negative at all. Players coming back from long-term injuries such as Jordan Rhodes, and players being reintroduced, Meepo and Rolando, as Andy touched on earlier. So there are reasons there to be positive looking forward, and a game like Coventry against a team that are around us at the top end of the division, a similar performance to the one against West Brom, and suddenly the outlook looks far rosier than it might at the minute, and that's probably because it's about -4 degrees at Oakwell, and that's probably why me and Dave are wanting to cut this one short if we can. Is there anything to add from either of you two before we do call it?
Central heating is an amazing thing. There we are.
Yeah, it's very smug of you, Andy. It'll be a while before you're back on extra time for that one. Anything at all, Dave, from you?
No. Let's just get inside.
League. Yeah, I was going to say, me and Dave are sat in a condemned stand at Oakwell today, and I think we will both join the stand in being condemned if we stay out here any longer. So thank you very much to both of you, and thank you very much to Sportsbroker for sponsoring the show and making it possible. And we'll speak to you soon in advance of that Coventry City game.